Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am your Destiny Dad, and welcome back to another Friday reset. This week is the final week of Xur before Edge of Fate comes on Tuesday. And let's go and see what our old friend with the tentacles on his face has for us this week. Alrighty, Xur this week appears to have... I thought I was supposed to have something else. Alright, so for the catalysts, we have the Ace of Spades catalyst. I think this is the first time I've seen this, and I want to say that this was originally gotten through a quest of some sort. So this may be like a rare or hard to get thing. I don't know. The thing is, most of these things that are here that are like, wow, big deal, this has never happened before, are things that I just got as soon as they came out. I went and got Leviathan's Wrath catalyst. I had Izanagi's catalyst. I've played the game basically since it came out, and there's been very little to nothing that I've allowed myself to miss. So sometimes I just forget because I do it, and then once it's done, I just sort of don't need to care about it anymore. But I recall it being from a quest, and I don't recall ever seeing Xur sell it, and I don't recall anybody ever talking about getting it. So this might have been something that was just not available. I don't know if it might have been in the archive thing, the kiosk, the exotic kiosk or whatever they call it. It might have been there, but I don't really know. But either way, Ace of Spades is a really good gun in PvP. It's not bad in PvE either, but PvP is for sure where it shines. Next up, we have the Lumina Catalyst, a super sleeper exotic weapon that a lot of people use. A lot of day one raids and dungeons will have somebody on the team with this and just running around being a healer, giving out damage buffs, things like that. I believe in Pantheon last year, the winning team actually had somebody with it because it gives you a buff, for those of you who don't know. So, if you have Lumina, and this is a catalyst, another catalyst that I think was from request initially. But if you don't have the catalyst for it and you like the gun, go ahead and grab it. Both are solid options this week. For our exotics this week, we have the Shards of Galanor for your hunter, base stat of 63. You have 20 resilience, and that's about it. Not a fantastic roll, I'm not gonna lie. For our titans, we have Aeons, safe in my opinion. Some slept on exotics are the Aeons. They're very good if you want to be a support role. And because it doesn't really require them being built into, you can build just a strong generalist playstyle kind of build around them, and then just have them in your build and be useful and be able to utilize them. It's a lot of fun and very strong. But our base total is 66, and we got 20 intellect. We have a couple 10s across the board, but that is about it. Another kind of rough roll. This one's a little better than the hunter one, I believe, but it's still kind of, hey, here's one spike. Normally you like to see two. And for Karnstein armlets, we have a base of 67. We do have 16 recov and 20 strength. That's actually really solid for Karnsteins. Those are the stats that you want to have spikes in. You do also have a little bit of mobility, a little bit of discipline, and Karnsteins, I believe, are getting a buff so that they kind of last a bit longer and work a little bit better, if I'm not making that up in my head. I know a bunch of the melee exotics were getting either buffed or reworked, and I think Karnstein was on that list. If it's not, I hope it was, because this is a fun exotic. It just feels very hard to use. And lastly, for our exotics, we do have exotic class items. As always, relativism, solipsism, and stoicism will be in Xur's inventory depending on which class you show up to him with. This week for our strange offers, we have Nightfall ciphers, as well as our usual assortment of materials. And lastly, for our gear this week, we have the Slayer's Fang. Very interesting shotgun. I like it a lot, but I don't use it a lot. I don't feel like it's as useful as some of the other exotics can be, but at the same time it is also very strong and very fun to use. So if you don't have it, or if you don't have that content purchased, I believe that it's because it's at Xur, it's free. You don't have to have the pass or anything to get it now, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. Let me know in the comments actually. If anybody's watching this and you don't have the season pass, or the if you don't own the content that this came with, which was Revenant, I believe. If you don't own Revenant, go to Xur, see if you can buy this. Like, see if it'll let you. If it'll let you, like, you can test and not, you know, don't actually spend your coins if you don't want to. But let me know if it lets you buy that even if you don't own the content. I believe once they go to Xur, that is what that means, but I could be wrong. We also have the Darcy. I know this is kind of a memed on gun, but it's one of my favorites personally. I oddly enough, I've used this a lot in PvP. That was where my love for Darcy came. Back in year 1, wanting a solid sniper to run around with, and Darcy just felt like the best. I used to click heads left and right with Darcy. Next we have a Risk Runner. Super strong, fantastic gun. If you don't have it, please get it. It is so good. Jade Rabbit, another favorite of mine for PvP. I don't think this thing sees like any PvE play, honestly, but I'm not 100% sure about that. I could see maybe if we just have, like, you know, like this when it's a fusion rifle season, or grenade launchers, like something where you're using a really strong special weapon that's legendary and a really strong heavy weapon that's legendary, and those are kind of like the metas, and then just putting whatever in the top slot to have something. I could see myself personally throwing this in there or something like that, just to have a gun that I liked on, you know. But to my knowledge, it has little to no application in PvE. Next we have Hawkmoon with Surplus. Oof. Surplus and Chambered Compensator of all things. Smooth grip is not bad. Overall, for me, this is a pass. That being said, a lot of people do like Surplus in PvP. It's not for me, and I personally think that Chambered Compensator is probably not the best barrel for this gun. But to each their own, and if you need a good Hawkmoon in general is just good. So even if you get one that has subpar perks, it's still gonna be Hawkmoon. So for our legendary weapons, we have Nature of the Beast. We've got Under Pressure and Demo, Pen Mag, and Sure Shot. This is a gun that feels really good to use, and I've tried to get a handful of different rolls, and it just 180s are in rough shape, dude. Just no matter how hard you try. But it's a fun gun, and this roll's probably not the best. Another one of those rolls that I talk about, and we see a lot of them, is half PvP, half PvE. Demo's great in PvE, not necessarily the most useful thing in PvP. You can make it work if you're trying to be quirky and cute about it, but... And then Under Pressure is fantastic in PvP, but for PvE it's not that great and is no real synergy to Demo, so I would personally skip on that roll. Different Times, oh, okay. Different Times is a rapid fire frame strand pulse rifle. It's actually a solid roll in my opinion. If you want to go like super rangy with it and run around in PvP, you can do High Cal and Hammer Forged. If you would like a little bit more stability and recoil direction, you can do Arrowhead and Appended Mag. You have Outlaw as well as Collective Action. Collective Action, very slept on, very easy to proc if you build into it just a teeny bit. And Outlaw is just solid. And the thing is this is not bad for PvE or PvP. I would say in PvE, I would probably go with these two, and then PvP, I'd probably go with these two. If you find that you're unable to manage the recoil direction, I could see going here, but you're gonna have nearly 50 stability. I can imagine that it should be manageable, even if the recoil direction is a little low. Definitely worth a pickup. Up next we have Deafening Whisper, a wave frame grenade launcher. We've got lead from gold and auto-loading holster. We have high velocity rounds and volatile launch. This is not a terrible roll, but it is not really doing much of anything. So it's kind of just like there, right? With guns like these, you normally want like a kill activation perk, so like chain reaction or something along those lines, alongside of an ammo perk or a loader perk, something like that. Let me see. Rolls can this thing actually get? Alright, so left column, we've got lead from gold, ambitious assassin, excuse me. And surplus, right column, we have auto loading, unrelenting, wellspring, and rampage. So there's some better options, I believe, but if you just want like a utility GL wave frame, then this might not be a bad option, honestly. This will give you refunded ammo essentially, and it'll load itself while it's stowed. So you're running around, stick it in your back pocket, use your primary, use your heavy, swap to this, fire out a shot, stick it in your back pocket, and repeat. You will not have damage increases, you won't have explosions, but maybe if you are able to give yourself volatile, or maybe if you just have a solid build and you want to throw it in the extra splash, that might do good for you. So I'll leave that one up to your choice. Up next we have Tarnished Metal with Eye of the Storm and Shoot to Loot, Alloy and Flared, Hammer and Poly. This roll specifically, I would probably pass on. That being said, this is a craftable gun and can come with some pretty juicer rolls, I'm not gonna lie. I think mine I have crafted with Volt Shot and Demo, but there's a bunch of different options. I believe that it comes with explosive, it comes with obviously shoot to loot. Eye of the Storm would be really good on this in PvP, but I don't know if it had another PvP perk. I think that was the problem with it. Trying to remember, it had a couple different roles that a lot of people really liked. But either way, I always recommend getting the craftable weapons, getting them and using your harmonizers on them if you have any lying around. And then if you want to craft it and you love it, you can. If you don't want to craft it, you have the blueprint and then you can craft it whenever, because we never know when something is going to get a buff or when the meta is going to shift. And when that happens, you want to have some reserves that you can sit on. Duello. I farmed so much for this rocket launcher when it was out. It made me very angry that I was getting every other weapon and every other roll from that season, aside from this, because this was the thing that I wanted the most. This time around we've got Frenzy and Surplus, we have high velocity and implosion rounds, countermass and smart drift. The blast radius, masterwork. This thing will be at 100 blast radius. Please do not pick this up. The appeal of Frenzy is there, and that's nice. It's an okay damage perk. It's not crazy by today's standards, but it's not bad either. That being said, it's got 100 blast radius. Do not use high blast radius rocket launchers or grenade launchers. Please, your teammates will hate you because you will do half the damage that they're doing. Don't buy this weapon this week. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Moving on, we have the Semi-Optician. Good God, we've got another one with 100 blast radius. Oh my sweet lord. Once again, I will say, Don't buy this weapon. I will say though that this one is a craftable one, and it is from the Season of the Witch, I believe, and so it's okay to buy this weapon and put harmonizers on it. Frenzy and shot swap. No impact casing is bad. The launcher volatile is actually not terrible. Wait, no, yes it is. Who's the other one? There's one that's similar to volatile, but it bumps up velocity. I don't remember. But if you're crafting it anyway, hard launch and impact casing and velocity masterwork, that's what you want. I think one of the better rolls that this thing had was like field prep bipod. I think it had field prep explosive light as well. Either of those are gonna be solid. Don't use it as is. Don't have 100 blast radius on your rockets and GLs. It's not good. It doesn't help you. It makes your damage bad. Please don't do it. So many people do. I'm begging you, as your dad, please do not play the game with 100 blast radius on your rockets and your grenade launchers. There are of course some exceptions to that rule. There are some rockets that are just super strong. I think He's in Vengeance, I believe its blast radius is pretty up there. And then there's another one, I forget which one it is. There's another rocket, but it had like bait and switch and something else on it, or something really strong. And just the combination of the perks, when you enhance them, they bump up your blast radius or something like that. But it was one of the top like DPSing rockets at the time. So, you know, there are exceptions to that rule, but anytime you're looking at a rocket or a grenade launcher outside of waveframes, you want as much velocity as you can and as little blast radius as you can, because the bigger the blast radius, the less damage you do. Lastly, for our sword this week, the Hunter Sword Quickfang, we've got Thresh as well as Flash Counter. We do have Swordmaster, and do we have Jagged Blade? We do have Jagged. Not a terrible roll, not a fantastic roll. Flash Counter has been bumped up to S tier, I believe. Thresh, I say it all the time. It's not a bad perk. I just, in my brain, it doesn't feel like it belongs on a sword. Because to me, a sword is like a meaty, heavy weapon, but a lot of people nowadays are DPSing with primaries and specials, and their heavy is just a utility weapon. It's ad clear. They're running an LMG. They're running a right. So if you're running an LMG, what's the difference in running an LMG or a sword if you're just using your heavy weapon for ad clear, right? There's really not much of one. So Thresh gives you little bumps to your super. It's not bad at all. If you could enhance it, it would probably be better. I don't know if we have any weapons with enhanced Thresh. I'm sure that we do, but I've just not seen one. Anyways, not a terrible roll. Not what I would say is like perfect, but if you need a decent sword with Flash Counter for your Titan Peacekeepers Stronghold build, then feel free to grab this. For our armor, we have the Catch Killer set on the Hunter. For our arms, we have a base of 53. We do have 16 mobility, 12 resilience, 11 discipline, and 10 intellect. For our chest piece, we also have a base of 53. We got 22 resilience, and then not too much else. We have 12 strength, so that's about it. For our helmet, we've got a base of 49. Goof. Okay. 16 mobility, and that's about it. And then for our legs, a base of 50. We have 18 mobility and 16 discipline. That appears to be the only one that's really usable. Maybe the arms. Again, like I always say, if it looks bad or if it has a bad number or if it just isn't good, quote unquote, and everybody says, oh, well, it's a bad piece of armor, but it makes your build triple hundreds or quad hundreds or dual 100, dual 70, or you know, whatever. If it fits into your build and it makes your numbers work, then it's not a bad piece of armor. But I will say, these pieces of armor are pretty rough. The resilience bump is nice on the chest piece, maybe, but there's not enough else there going for it. I'd say maybe the arms, maybe the legs, you could make something work with. Alrighty, for our Titan, we also have the Catch Killers set. For our arms, we have a base of 57. We've got 12 resilience and 16 intellect. Our chest is a base of 50. We have 18 mobility, 12 discipline, and 10 strength. Helmet is a base 59. We've got 23 resilience and 20 intellect. Ooh, that's a solid helmet. If you don't have a better helmet than that, or if you're just trying to prep some different spikes for going into Edge of Fate, then please grab that helmet. That might be useful for you. For our boots, we have a base of 51. We do have 17 mobility, 12 discipline, and 11 strength. For the Titan Sword Crown Splitter, boys, ladies and gents, folks, gamers, we did it. We have a 5 out of 5 Crown Splitter God roll this week. We got Surrounded, we got Relentless, Heavy Guard, Jagged Edge, and an Impact Masterwork. Now obviously, a couple of those options are very limited. Your Masterwork, your Guard, that's what they are. But we still have a God roll on our hands, Relentless and Surrounded. He's one of, if not the best roll on this weapon. If you don't have a roll, please, please, please pick it up. Crown Splitter, while maybe is not necessarily breaking the bank on DPS or things like that, it is incredibly fun and so strong, especially in stronghold builds and when you are building into that idea of it being like a super strong sword that you pull out and you slam it and then you go about, you know, right? Very strong, very worthwhile. Please get it. And last but not least, for our Warlock this week, we've got the Catch Killers set yet again. For our arms, we have a base of 52, 13 resilience, 11 discipline. Chest is 53, ooh boy, 22 resilience, 18 intellect. Definitely worth a pick on that chest piece, I believe. For the little helmet, we got a base of 54. And we've got a 20 spike in mobility and a 16 spike in intellect. Now normally I would tell you guys that kind of sucks on a Warlock, you know, unless you're wanting a PvP jumpy boy. But the Edge of Fate, and with what we know now, intellect and mobility is going to be kind of poggers in Edge of Fate. And we're not going to be able to get armor that has intellect and mobility as its main spikes. So if you want to prep your Warlock and have a solid helmet that will help you out a little bit in the early stages of Edge of Fate, your Warlock helmet this week is going to go kind of hard. Then we got some legs that are 48 and has basically no spikes, so, you know, what can we say? Last but not least, for our Warlock Sword Eternity's Edge, we do have Jagged Edge, we do have Relentless Strikes, and we do have Flash Counter, Impact Masterwork, Infinite Guard for the Guard. I think that this thing can, yes, this sword can get Relentless and Surrounded, but if you are someone who's running around using Bolt Charge on Titan, Relentless and Flash Counter is actually a really solid combo. You've got your utility and you've got your strong perk, and it's probably not a combo that most people would think to put together, but you know me, I like to do quirky, weird, different things and just be different. I think that sounds really solid. So we've got 3 really solid swords this week, I'm not gonna lie. Got a couple pieces of armor that might be spiky enough to help you out in Edge of Fate. Got some new exotics and some exotic catalysts that we've never, to my knowledge, seen at Xur, as well as just some general good stuff. Got a really solid pulse rifle and a couple of decent craftable weapons. And Xur, the last week of this season, the last week of this expansion, the last week of the year, was pretty good. Pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. So with all that being said, thank you all for coming and watching and listening. If you made it to the end of the video, please be sure to leave a like. If you enjoyed watching, or if you learned something, or if you got some helpful advice, make sure you subscribe. It's super helpful, it's free, and it helps me grow the channel. Share it with a friend who you think might enjoy it. Turn on the notifications so you never miss an upload. And I keep saying it, I know I keep saying it, I keep procrastinating on it because I'm a perfectionist, and I apologize. After I upload this, I will more than likely go and try and start working on editing that other video and uploading it over the weekend, giving you guys a few days to listen, digest, and maybe get some advice for pre-farming before Edge of Fate. With all of that being said, I love you all, and I will talk to you guys the next time that I see you. Have a good weekend, Guardians.